this might be helpful for others. Um, just in a general sense, right? Relapse, setback, whatever word we use for it, is common in any recovery journey, just like plateaus can be common in any fitness journey or um, growth journey. They're not permanent, but they're usually, in my mind, the way that I frame it is that it's my body or brain or nervous system integrating this new healing. And initially, there's going to be a threat because our brain views any change as threat. And so even changing for the better is going to initially be viewed as unsafe because we're going into the unknown and unpredictable a little bit, at least from the status quo. So they're going to be with you. They're going to happen. We have to know that and accept it, number one. But they shouldn't be demoralizing or so intense that we give up, right? That's kind of number one, awareness around setbacks are going to happen because we need time for our nervous system to kind of integrate and inoculate to this threat. But with neurotraining, with our tools, we should be able to mitigate them so that they are small and inconsequential. That's ideal, right? Sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're big, hairy setbacks and they suck. But over time, they should get less long, duration should be shorter and infrequently, like the frequency grows between them or lessens as the time grows in between the setbacks. That's kind of the normal route of any recovery journey. If I had my iPad, I'd draw you a little graph, but you get it. So number one, like knowing that's a normal part of any recovery journey is good. You got to have that awareness. Number two, there is an interesting term I have been researching recently because of a client and her struggles with setbacks and pain called symptom imperative. Have you heard of this before? So it comes from like dang it, I'm just blanking on the guy's name. Um, but it's part of the guy that came up with the term is big into the psychology of pain, and I think he's big in pain reprocessing therapy, and symptom imperative is kind of a part of that. It's a term from that world, which is very much a top-down approach to pain management, like with your mind, right? Reframe it, think of something different. All of these cool top-down language-based techniques for reprocessing pain. And out of that came this idea of symptom imperative, where our emotional brain, so our limbic system, hijack our frontal lobe, our cognitive brain, and as soon as its old neurotags or its old pathways are not being used anymore and you're choosing something different, it's like this symptom imperative is kicks into high gear, hijacks the neurotag, and makes the pain sometimes much more intense because it's like, where did my comfortable pain go? That was a signal that was really useful to me. Now I don't have it. What the heck? And so it doubles down. Like your brain feels so much more safe with that pain signal. It doubles down and gives you pain.
Try to do all that for me to be centered on this.
So it will double down or the pain will shift and it'll show up somewhere else because it's the imperative of the symptom to let the brain know that it feels safe. right? That's kind of how I reword it in my mind. But this is actually pretty common in chronic pain. Um, and it's a different way of describing some of the things we've already described at length in the neural world related to breathing or threat or fuel issues. And they can all contribute to this symptom imperative in that they can help quell it, calm it down, lower threat so you get through it, right? And you more easily create the neuroplasticity and change the neural wiring and defeat that neurotag. But also how it goes wrong and where you can trigger that symptom imperative type scenario. If we want to just think of it as a threat response, kind of what it is, right? So all that is to say is that when that does happen, you have a little setback and maybe it comes back even more intense than the last time, or it changes around. If we want to view it as like this symptom imperative, it's actually a positive thing because it means you're on the healing journey and it's your brain trying to hold on to what it knows and is comfortable with right now in the status quo. And it's kind of like that, it's a little bit of a battle. So, um, I don't know if that's helpful, but it was helpful for me and for my client to at least be aware that this is kind of a part of the healing journey and it doesn't mean that I am back to square one or what I'm doing is not working. In fact, it might mean that it is working and that although I might have setbacks, um, measuring the time in between them and the intensity over time, uh, counting your wins, right, is a better progress measure than always looking at the pain or the symptoms or and how much it comes back and all that stuff. Is that helpful at all?
I'm a little confused. I'm actually confused.
All right. What part are you confused on?
The
Everything
actually,
I
what is symptom imperative? It's
yeah.
like the body is giving you another signal because it's feeling threat that you're feeling better because
Well,
you're not used
yeah, you usually it's the same signal.
to. Okay.
It's the same pain. But it's like as soon as you give the brain good input and it starts to choose a different pathway, it's like you're choosing something new, and so that is change. Brain doesn't like change. The change is hard and painful. So it kind of gives you that old symptom again, even more intensely. In some ways, kind of like a phantom pain type thing. Like you lost your arm. Now I'm getting no input from that arm. But I know it's still there because I have the map in my brain. At least that's what the brain is saying.
Yeah.
And so you get that pain because it's like, I need information from here. I'm not getting any, so here's excruciating pain in a limb that's actually not there. And so you have to, um, relearn all that good sensory input to remap that area. It's a similar process going on when you're retraining your brain to choose a different signal or to get rid of that signal and not choose that pain pathway anymore, that neurotech. You
Mm.
start to do that, and your brain goes, whoa, 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 wait a second. This was really useful for me to get more information that I needed to get you to change something that I didn't like or stop doing something. Now I don't have this information, and you're still doing that thing. I don't feel safe here, right? So here's that pain. And I'm going to make it worse this time. So you really pay attention to me, right? Or, oh, it didn't work in that place. Well, I'm going to give you pain over here. Maybe that'll get your attention. So um, that's kind of all it means is like, and the imperative part is like this symptom is important to me and it's keeping me safe and it's keeping me in this status quo. So stop trying to change it. I like it, right? That's kind of your little baby brain going, hey, wah, 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 I don't like change. That's really all it is. Um, but it's just a way to describe that setbacks are kind of a part of the journey.
Okay.
Um, and I think it's a better way to describe when things are going well and you have a setback. It's like, what the heck? I'm doing everything right. And there's no immediate crazy threats that I can think of or that are standing out to me in the moment. So why am I having this setback? Why is this coming back? And that's kind of where I think it is helpful as a description for what's going on. Is that more clear?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks.
Cool, cool, cool. So, yeah, keep plugging along. I think you're on the right track with everything you're doing.
Mhm.
Don't get discouraged by a little setback. Sorry, Zoe, I just muted you. You can unmute if you want. How's everybody doing? Hey, Monica, Lisa, Zoe, Karen.
Hi, Brandon.
Hi.
Can- Hi, and everyone. I wanted to say I really appreciated what you explained. Not that I can say I totally understand it completely, but I think it's very positive because it helps you to understand when you're on a journey to healing, you're not going to just feel great all the time. So I appreciate that. It helps you to be optimistic to know that if you are having a pain, it doesn't mean that it's a setback. I love how you shared that.
Yeah, yeah, good. I'm glad it resonated. Yeah. Tension myositis syndrome, TMS. That's what
TMS.
TMS, tension myositis syndrome.
What's that?
Mm.
Um, it is a psychosomatic condition of chronic pain or other physical symptoms caused by repressed emotions and psychological stress.
Mhm.
Dr. John Sarno is the guy that came up with this, and he wrote books like Mind Body Medicine, I think was a book that he wrote, a bunch of books in like the 80s and 90s. He was
Mhm.
one of the pioneers of this like reconnecting mind and body. And so he comes from a more psychological approach. So psychosomatic
Yeah.
pain is what he's kind of talking about. And it's yeah, it is a psychological approach. And he came up with this tension myositis syndrome, um, saying basically that the brain generates physical symptoms as a distraction from unresolved emotional stress or trauma. That's what TMS is, and symptom imperative is central to TMS.
How do you resolve the unresolved things according to him or in general?
You just go and resolve them.
Okay.
Um, I mean, psychological interventions are going to be helpful, whatever form that may take. You know, you could talk to someone in the therapy world or in the spiritual world, circles that you run in. I'm sure there's some pretty good people that you enjoy talking to and feel safe with. And
Yeah.
then other stuff like your somatic tracking, meditation, mindfulness stuff, um, neuro drills till the cows come home. But, you know, in this context, something that's very important is going to be the top-down approach and becoming aware or, you know, just again, this is from this context, resolving the emotional trauma. And from a neuro context, you could dare to say that you might not even need the psychological part, and you could resolve that trauma just through your body. But I believe that it's better to go from both ends, bottom up, top down. Because if you can conceptualize and bring to light, so to speak, some kind of unresolved trauma, don't even care. doesn't even matter really what the event was, or multiple events, doesn't matter. It just matters how it shows up in your life, you being aware of it, and then you doing the work of resolving it through your body, through neuro drills, through what you put into your body and how you treat it. I'm thinking like, simple stuff, breathing drills, vision, vestibular, integration, even proprioceptive movement, mindfulness stuff. All of that is the work. It's like so many people want to go do inner child work with a therapist and stuff, and my wife does it all the time. That's like a main teaching that she does with her marriage and family work. It's like, great, okay, your daddy beat you when you were 6 years old. I'm sorry, that sucks. What are you gonna do about it? Are you just gonna sit and cry about it and let it ruin your life? Or are you gonna do the work now that you've uncovered it to resolve it and use it as a catalyst for growth and not just whine in your victimhood? Sorry to be brash, but it's so common in that world for people to be tire kickers and just want to talk about how much they've been wronged and stuff. And whew, it gets under my skin a little bit. It's like, okay, fine. You got a diagnosis. You got a label now. Good for you. What are we gonna do about it? Come on. Let's do the things to make us better, you know? So in that way, the label is just a label. It can be helpful, but it can also hurt. Did you know in the counseling world, therapy world, there are some diagnoses that they do not tell the patients that they have them. One of those being borderline personality disorder. You don't tell a borderline person they have borderline personality disorder because then their entire world just revolves around that diagnosis and they use it as an excuse for everything.
Yeah.
And there are a couple others like that, but I know that's an extreme example because someone with borderline personality disorder has got some serious issues that make it very hard for them to function in a normal way that we think of, and that their brain's just playing tricks on them a lot of the time, and they just latch onto that diagnosis so hard, and then they don't do any work around it. It's super common with BPD, which makes it really, really hard to work with. But they don't tell them. I like to not tell my clients what's wrong with them sometimes. Like, you're fine. We just need to get a little better. It's all good. I don't need to tell you that you have 37 neuro problems. Some people will take that and be like, all right, let's go. Let's just get every one of them. Put them on a list. Let's check them off. It's my favorite thing to do. Check, check, check. Some people hear that and they're like, oh my God, the world is ending. I'll never be able to do all this, you know? And they get more discouraged. So every person's a little bit different, but anyway, that was a good rant. Uh,
No, I
I,
like what you say about the victimhood because I think that can be a big,
oh, it's so easy.
yeah.
Yeah, so easy to just fall back on that. And your brain, again, loves that because that puts the responsibility elsewhere.
Yeah.
And it's so good for conserving energy. It's not my
Mm.
problem. I'm this way. That's just how I am. I don't need to do anything about it because that costs energy and that's painful. So your brain will revert to that always. Always. It takes effort to quiet that part and move forward towards long-term goals. Yeah. So keep it up. You're doing great.
Sorry, I got up at 4 in the morning. That's why I keep yawning. So
That's okay. It's
yeah.
okay. Maybe need a bag and some orange juice or something. Coconut water.
Yeah. They say orange juice is not on, I'm on the FOD, is off the, not on the FODMAP diet, so.
Yeah.
Trying to
What
figure
about
that.
coconut?
Nope.
No coconut. Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess not. It's a saturated fat. I thought you only stayed away from all the sugars, right? So it's a
Yeah.
monosaccharide, I think. Okay, yeah, I get it now.
I can tell you, I have the app.
Tell me.
I mean,
Oh, she's looking it up. Somebody else
I-
tell me what's good in their life. Monica just joined the paid community, everybody. Whoop whoop.
oh,
Finally.
Yeah, so glad to have you on this free community call now that you're in the paid community.
Good. I was gonna say to Sandra's question and kind of what you were talking about with when you know of some trauma, how do you know, what do you do with it? I can say I do a lot of manual work on people, and like we know emotions get trapped in the body, and it is a very distinct feeling. It's like a brick wall. It's like it's grabbing your attention, but it's not giving you anything. It's not going to let you in. It's not going to, yeah, it's not going to let you in until you can identify it. And so, like, I have a whole, and you can, I always call it connect, but you can dialogue with the body and with the person's system, and you can navigate your way through to help identify what the emotion is. Sometimes even just identifying the emotion, it's one of the coolest things ever. You feel it melt away, and I love it. I never get tired of feeling it. Sometimes you have to kind of navigate a little bit deeper to, you know, identify where it's stemming from, or if it came from a certain incident. But once it's identified, and it's also identified in a neutral way, so we're not attaching any other emotion to it, and we're not attaching it as being negative or positive, or it's just identifying it, and it melts. So even like if you don't have a practitioner in your area who can do that, just sitting quietly with yourself. You were kind of alluding to it, Brandon, but just a lot of them, we know they're there. We've just piled up years of ignoring it, right? So even just being able to sit quietly, even if it's over, multiple times, and just identifying what it could be, it goes a long way. It's very cool.
Yeah, agreed. I can confirm also my own personal experience. I used to do a lot of body work on myself and other people, trigger point therapy, active release stuff. One time in Sedona, I got a massage with Francesca, and I experienced that. Just started weeping on their table and laughing at the same time because I was like, I don't know why I'm crying right now. This is wild. And the laughter was kind of like a threat response. It's like, I don't want to cry right now, but I can't help it. Profound. The lightness I felt after that massage was better than any I had ever had before. And multiple times, people on my table have had that same experience. And, you know, not a seasoned practitioner by any means. I was just doing a little bit here and there, but it was like like Monica said, you run into that wall and you work with it a little bit, and then you just get this like release. I had somebody almost punch me in the face once, which I thought I was hurting them, and he's like, no, I just have this overwhelming need to like hurt you right now. I'm like, okay, maybe we should go work out. So yeah, I've had anger responses, I've had overwhelming sadness, grief. I've had laughter, like uncontrollable, laughter like they were being tickled to death, and it was not a ticklish time. I was pressing pretty hard on this person. So, you know, all sorts of different things, but just to me, proof of what Monica's saying, what we're talking about, that these get stored in our body in different areas, and you don't actually need to go that deep into their inner child work and all that stuff if you can just bring it to awareness, name it, and then work through it. Because it's the body really that's working through it. You know what I mean? The mind can be helpful there, but it's really the body.
Yeah, and so a lot of it is just bring the awareness to that nervous system. The nervous system knows what to do.
Yeah,
with it.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, thanks, Monica. Thanks for adding that. Zoe, go ahead.
Yeah, been working on vision, as you know, for a while, and I'm working to identify where the fear comes from. And sometimes both my sister and myself we say we can't see it, and then we change our language and we can. And so I think maybe it's a fear of, for me, not just afraid to move around in this system, in the world of mankind that's having so many challenges. Or perhaps it's not knowing, um, or having heard all my life about what you can see and can't see, and figuring that out. So that's one of the things going on with the vision.
That's cool. That's cool awareness. I mean, it's worth saying, I guess, that when we talk about vision and most things, and we're coming from a mostly scientific context. Like we try to be as scientific as possible. And so that leaves not a lot of room for more metaphysical or spiritual type conversations, but you guys know me and I'm all about it. So I try to blend those two as much as I can in a way that makes sense. So anyway, there are a lot of brain things that we could talk about in relation to your questions and your comments. So, or we could talk about it from a metaphysical standpoint. But either way, what I think you're experiencing is super cool. And I love that you're starting to navigate down those rabbit holes and asking those questions. Because I think you might learn even more about yourself through that process. Your eyes are incredible little organs that are extensions of your brain that are like, and I'm sure you've all heard me say this before, like they're not just extensions of your brain, they are brain, right? As Andrew Huberman would say, your eyes are brain. So the influence that they have is incredible. But then when we start to get into the realm of memories and consciousness and spirituality, they're a gateway to much deeper realms. So in that sense, in like a psychological sense too, there's actually a practice out there called brain spotting. Have you guys heard of this? Okay. I had a TBI client that was doing this practice while we were working together. And the basic practice is doing visual assessments, watching people's eyes move, and connecting that to different brain areas, and specifically like memories or different areas of their visual field, and then memories and brain areas where they're experiencing threat. So it's like you do a little eye circle, and up and to the right, you have this like major threat response where you turn your head or your eyes skip over that whole spot. there's threat there, right? Our eyes don't like to go there. Well, brain spotting then says, all right, well, that area of the visual field is connected to this brain area. And also, let's go into your history and find out what kind of events or trauma may be related to you looking up and right. Really simple example is like you get rear-ended in a car, and right before you get rear-ended, you look up at the rearview mirror, and then bam, you get smacked. And from that moment on, you have a neuro tag that says every time I hear screeching tires behind me, or I look up and to the right, like I'm looking in a rearview mirror, I'm gonna have a threat response. So my brain goes, nope, let's just not look there. That's fine. We can avoid that forever. So brain spotting kind of it's a different context. They're doing neuro and they're doing vision training, but it's like EMDR. It's super specific and precise in this one little niche way, disregarding everything else that's involved. So, take it with a grain of salt. It's one tiny little piece of a much larger neuro puzzle. But it's an interesting kind of practice, and it's just another avenue, kind of like what Sandra's talking about, what we were talking about with symptom imperative, all of these things, they're just tools to help you dig a little deeper and find out what's really going on, what might be the root cause of this. But that's all cool and great. To your comment, Zoe, when you start investigating those things, you may start to experience more metaphysical type outcomes that are unintended. Like I'm working on this visual field because I need to do some smooth pursuits up there because I got some threat. Wow, after I do 10 of those, then I have this weird emotional response and I have this memory just triggered and it brings up some like fear. Well, that's interesting. What's that about? Right? You can dive into that and do some journaling, some meditation, do some prayer on it. Cool. You might find out. You might not. You still
Yeah,
might be working through it.
yeah, I think that is going on. And so when the things that I think I fear seeing, I
Yeah,
talk to
cool.
and
That's,
I'm going to continue working on that until I've achieved the goal I want. I just want to see what I need to see. I remember
yeah.
right before the pandemic, I drove in from Chicagoland to Kentucky. I didn't mean to be on the highway at night and ran into snow, wind, blizzard, all of that. And really since then, I haven't been on a highway.
Mm,
And it's challenging. And I drive around town, but that's all I want to do. And I had to learn my way around after the pandemic.
okay. Yeah. Yeah. It can show up in lots of different ways. And when you start doing those drills, and this goes for all drills, vestibular movement, but vision itself is really powerful. Breathing also super powerful for this kind of stuff. Um, when those things start to come up, you have the option, if you want to dive into that deeper with your top-down tools, your journaling, your meditation, prayer. Um, that's optional, I think, my opinion. I think it's helpful, but I think it's optional. I think what's not optional is the continuing of the body and the bottom-up neuro type training and movement, and if it's body work, which we could put in the proprioceptive bucket, like the neuro drills, the neuro training that's going to help you resolve the nervous system stickiness or sticking point, the threat. That's the most important thing. Um, the top-down approach is super fun bonus and also very beneficial, but it's not non-negotiable like the body stuff is.
Well, I pray all the time, and I do actually believe that what's the saying that the boat rises, or
Rising
all the
tide. Rising tide lifts all boats.
Yes, and I believe that that's going to balance that out.
I agree. Yeah,
Huh?
I agree. I think the body stuff's non-negotiable, and you can work through a lot of those emotional things and those fears and stuff with your body, but you can get a little bit of that rising tide effect if you work top down too. Because when you resolve that thing and you become aware of it, you might get easier releases in lots of other places too. Yeah. Does that make sense? How I
Yeah,
explain that? Yeah, okay.
it really does. I hadn't had that conversation with anybody, so I appreciate this.
Yeah, of course.
And it really stems back to what Sandra was talking, what you all were talking about with Sandra, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I agree. So since Zoe brought it up, how's our vision training going? Anybody still doing the vision training challenge? Because we got like 2 weeks left.
I'm slowly making, I wouldn't say I'm fully following the vision challenge, but I'm doing stuff every day. And um, I'm so pumped because I've been so afraid to do anything with my eyes that, like you suggested last time, to pair up with like humming. I messaged you, it blew my mind. Like I have not been able to like move an eyeball without getting huge threat response in years. So like I have gotten a little overexcited and done too much. And
That can happen.
yes, I'm very all or nothing. But it's like, yeah, it's been totally exciting. And I've really noticed how much my left eye has just been on holidays for the last decade, probably.
Yeah, probably.
Now that it's become part, like in my awareness, I'm like, oh yeah, it really has just been sitting there.
Yeah. Great awareness. And yeah, you're like a few steps ahead of the game as far as the vision training goes, because visual suppression and stuff wasn't really in there, but I know you have some background
Yeah.
a little bit in the visual training. And for everybody else, like Monica has experienced some head injuries in the past, so the eyeballs were a touchy place to dig into. So that's really powerful and awesome. Thank you for sharing. It made me think of this college football athlete that I worked with last summer who was experiencing really, really bad, like excruciating back pain. Have I told you guys this story before? No? Okay. So real quick, young kid, 21, because of the pandemic, like he had a extra year of eligibility. He's going into his um junior year. He's got one more year he's gearing up for right now. But he was going to have to sit out. He was a starter and like probably going to be a captain on the team this year and big time player on the offensive line. Like game changer type player, but he was not going to play because his back was so bad. So I met with him after I talked to his coaches and everything they were doing, nothing was helping. He was doing physical therapy and worked with the training staff every single day. And he just kept having these flare-ups and he couldn't go out and practice for longer than 10, 15 minutes before it would seize up on him and he'd be done. So they were basically going to say, we don't know what else to do. You might have to sit out this season. They were also on the road, like looking at maybe getting into the national championship with the team that they had. So he would be a kind of make or break player on whether or not they were going to get there. So they're very invested in this kid. And when I came on board, we did a consultation and very quickly found out that the back pain started happening really soon after he had a concussion off the field down by the river, slipped on a rock, hit his head, got concussed. Within a couple weeks, he was working out and his back seized up. So nobody thought to connect those things, which super common. Like most people wouldn't, right? But what we know from neuro is that if he has a vestibular dysfunction after that head injury, or just the process of healing a brain injury can dysregulate your breathing, causes a fuel issues, can really increase threat and cause issues with the vestibular and the visual system, the integration of those things. Okay. These are all kind of floating around in the back of my mind as I'm talking to this kid. He tells me about the head injury. And then he tells me it may have been on his sheet that he wrote to me, or it just came up in conversation. I don't remember, but he's like, "Oh yeah, and by the way, I don't really see out of this left eye." I'm like, "Oh, like not at all?" He's like, "Well, I can kind of see some stuff, but it's really blurry, and I can't afford these super special glasses that I'm supposed to wear." I'm like, "Oh, okay, this might be an issue." So we do some assessments. His vestibular system's a little bit off. Definitely some issues there that we worked on fixing. But it turns out he has total suppression in that left eye. His brain is just going, nope, we are not liking the picture. I can't bring them together and make sense of them both, so I'm going to turn this eye off. And what we found in our training is that as soon as that eye turned off is when all of his other threat would go way up and his back pain would get really bad. So some simple drills like a Brock string to get that eye turned back on. And within one session, he was back to training full-time, full speed with some breathing drills, which are also super compromised. He was, instead of the back of the pack in his conditioning drills, sprints and stuff, he was leading all the O linemen. And he said he was even beating some of the linebackers and DBs. And they were all asking him, what is that breathing thing you're doing to help you recover so fast? He had one setback because he stopped doing his drills. And then I talked to him. He's like, oh, yeah, it's because I wasn't assessing and I wasn't doing my drills. That must be why. He got back to him, full bore, full speed ahead after he saw that setback happen. And he never had an issue ever again, from as far as I know. And I've been talking to him for a year now. He finished the season. He was a big time player. They made the national championship. Unfortunately, they got beat, but he had a huge part in that. So he went from not going to play because his back pain was so bad to within essentially 2 sessions, totally back to full training and didn't have an issue all season. Like pretty awesome results, right? And the main crux of it was essentially 2 things. The vestibular system was important, yes. But if it came down to only 2 things, it was helping him breathe a little bit better so he wasn't experiencing so much threat during his training and getting his eye turned back on. And he told me afterward, he's like, every time my back starts to get tight or I start to experience some pain elsewhere, or even get out of breath and fatigued, or just get a little foggy in my brain, I know the eye has turned off. I take a cord or anything, get it turned back on, and I'm fine. Moral of that story is vision is very powerful.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
I love that story because it's quite inspirational for anybody.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking about myself. One eye is not as sharp as the other eye. Something was put in it and it had a reaction and it just clouded up the vision. And so I'm really excited about continuing to do the drills and reconnect that.
Good.
I
Yeah.
have a question about the glasses. When you wear the glasses, like say if I wear red, and I think because I'm getting adjusted, this is new, 20 minutes, right? Or unless I have some reaction. The question
Yeah.
is, can I go from the red glasses to the orange glasses? No big
Yeah.
deal. Green glasses consecutively, and it's not any negativity to that. Okay.
You can, yeah. And that's actually a great idea. Just do your reassessment to make sure. But that's the great thing about the inhibition tools is you might get sick of one. And when I say that, I mean your threat level might go up a little bit. And your brain's kind of like, I'm sick of not seeing any blue light right now. Can we take these red glasses off so I can get some of that blue wavelength, among others? You can absolutely take those off and then switch to a different one because it's inhibiting something else. So it might allow some of the other information in while you're cutting out some other information. It's all about regulation, right? So if inhibition is what you really need, then you can cycle through all those tools. Maybe you go from red glasses to an earplug, and then back to orange glasses, and then to blue glasses maybe, and then you put on an ab belt, right? You can mix and match these things to help regulate your nervous system in any way that you see fit that is giving you positive reassessments. That's really the key. So just promise me that you always test after each one.
I will keep that in mind. And I
Yeah.
absolutely just love these glasses. It's amazing how something that simple can give you such a different state change emotionally.
Yeah, it's pretty
If
cool.
I'm feel tired or I guess a threat, if I'm around people and the energy is being pulled from me, if I throw those glasses on, it helps me get through the time period and to be the self that I want to be with
Yeah,
others. It allows me to do that because the energy, um, I either typically this person I won't claim it, but the energy is either very high or it's very low. And when people are used to you having high energy, when they're around you, they just go, because they want it. And that's all right. But I love the glasses. They're really helping me through some
good.
situations that it's very powerful.
Yeah, yeah, good. A good buffer. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's perfect. Good.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing, Karen. Yeah, that's really cool. That's really cool. All right, guys, I got 5 minutes before I got to go teach some breathing drills today. Got any burning questions or just cool stuff they want to share?
The babies are adorable.
I was gonna say we could just look at baby pictures.
Last night, and they're all so beautiful and different.
That
I
they
saw
are.
I saw you walking with them, and it's like really wonderful.
Yeah, we've been really trying to make it a point to get out of the house as much as possible because it's not easy. It's a process getting everybody loaded and all the things that we need to bring with us. But we were out quite a bit this weekend, and it was exhausting, but it was really fun.
I
Yeah,
bet they sleep good.
and they did.
Well,
They slept very well after that. Yeah, we've been really blessed in the sleep department that they've been mostly sleeping through the night since they came home.
wow.
I mean, well, when we got done with the night feedings, they really have been sleeping mostly through the night since then. So,
That's
knock on wood.
amazing.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, find some wood.
It's made things much easier. That one thing. The up at all hours of the night for a year or more. Like some parents I've seen been going through it in the last couple of years. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, we had three, so we didn't have as many choices. It's like, are you gonna sleep train your kids or not? There's no moral or ethical dilemma for me there.
You got to
Yes,
do
we're
it.
gonna sleep train our kids because that's the only way we're gonna survive.
It's fine.
We've got so many parents claiming all these things like co-sleeping's the best for attachment styles, and you should never sleep train your kids. You should never let them cry ever. It's like, but what if you can't hold three at one time? Then do you let them cry or you smother them? I don't get it. What do you expect me to do? You know? And are our kids going to grow up with all these complications and terrible attachment styles? I don't think so. I think they're very well adjusted so far, and they're the smiliest babies I've ever met. And they're already pretty independent. So what I've learned in my short time as a parent so far is that everybody's got an opinion, but every child is different. So you find what works for your kid to give them the best opportunity to develop and become the best human they can. That's all I know. And that's all we're working.
They look loved. I know they're safe.
They are. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll just keep rocking and rolling until they get to teenage years, and then all bets are off.
I just want to point out how much you're shining right now as you're talking about them.
Oh, thank you.
It's really beautiful.
It's yeah, it's been quite a life-changing, perspective-changing, purpose-building, fulfillment experience, like all of the things. Incredibly challenging, but it's been really cool so far, and just gets better every day, it seems like. So I get it. I get it now. So yeah, my next battle personally is to find a way to share our experience with a broader audience that feels good for everybody, that allows us to share the joy with everyone without it, yeah, without the negative things that can come of that.
Of like sharing publicly. Right?
Sharing publicly, yeah. I really don't want to be like an influencer type family.
Yeah.
It's about creating content with my kids. That's not on the docket for me. But I do want to share with friends, family, and people out there that I'm not sending pictures individually to, right? In a way that feels good for everybody. Because here's last story, and then I'll leave you guys. I have a client, she's in her late 70s. Her mother just turned 102. She lives in Florida. She's sharp as a whip, like super all there and just ornery. And she's great. And her day is made. And she gets so much joy when my client sends her pictures of our babies that I'm like, this is incredible how much this changes her life in just a moment. And it's like all she talks about. She brags to all her friends. She says that the babies are hers, which is great. Like, it's awesome. She's loving it. And it's giving her like a new lease on life at 102 years old. So I'm like, that joy, I can't rob people of that. You know what I mean? Like, if I have the ability to share that with a lot of people and they can get this much joy from it, who am I to not spread that joy in the world? Doesn't that seem like a disservice to humanity in a way? Yes, there are negative things that can happen when you put your kids online, but we have some rules that we're trying to figure out and put in place that should mitigate that. And my next step is actually just pressing the button, share, because I'm just not great at that. But hopefully I can find someone to help me do it. But anyway, you guys,
Generosity.
yeah, you guys feel free to hold me accountable on that. You can ask for like updates. Give me baby pictures and I'll put them either in the community or online so we can all share them. All right. All right. Thank you guys for being here. Got to run, get ready for this teaching, but a pleasure as always. Any questions or further follow-up stuff, throw it in the community if you don't mind. Otherwise, I will see you around the bend. All right. Bye, everybody.